Greetings, I am Tom Earl, and this is my year of grace. I know you could be anywhere, so the fact that you are here today, sharing your greatest gifts, your time and energy, means the world to me. I hope you know that in this moment, just as you are and where you are appreciated, you are loved, and you are valued. As we get started today, something we haven't done in a little bit is we're just going to start this episode with some intentional breathing. So wherever you are, if you're able to, if you could just go ahead and check in on that posture of yours. And what we're going to do in a second is we're going to breathe in deeply through our nose. And as we do so, I want you to think, stretch, reach, point, whatever you're able to. I want you to do it up. And then as we breathe out, we'll do through our nose, and you'll just release any tension that you're carrying. And so here we go. 1, 2, 3. Breathe in. And release. One more time. Breathe in. And release. And just one friendly reminder that wherever you are, we are called to relax and lean into the energy that has brought us to this moment. That the chair you are sitting in, the ground you are standing up on, the bed you are laying down on, wherever you are being held into the earth by gravity. And to gain the benefit of gravity, all you have to do is just be. And so too in life, my friends, to tap into that unlimited stream of creativity, intuition, and potential that is constantly being flowed into your consciousness, into your body, into your life. To gain access to it, all you need to do is just relax and lean into it. Because you are amazing and you are magical. And that's what we're here to talk about on this week's episode, is that we are all creatives. This is something I am deeply passionate about. I've been working in the area of creativity for many, many years, and specifically creating experiences where people can tap into their creativity. That is something I've been really deep in through these past 10 years. One of the areas that I really started to utilize these tools and these gifts I have, where I can create experiences for people to express themselves, was for many years I ran a nonprofit where we worked with young people who were survivors or who had experienced trauma, abuse, or neglect. And we would use art as a processing tool where they could express themselves, reclaim their voice and their power, and tell their story. And from that experience, I started to use those tools with adults and other young people who were just living their everyday lives and had somehow stumbled into a workshop with Tom Earl. And oftentimes, it was people who didn't know that they were about to create something. They showed up thinking this is going to be another boring workshop I'm going to have to sit through because somebody made me come, and now here I am. And next thing you know, this guy who's jumping up and down with all that energy is telling me to get out some markers and some paper, and I'm about to create in front of my coworkers. What the heck's going on? And because of that, I found very quickly ways that I could bypass people's nervousness and people's blocks and biases we have about what creativity is and who we are as creatives. And so what I want to share with you today is a little twofer, a little double whammy, if you will. The first is you and we're going to sit here for a minute. We're going to talk about creativity. I'm going to make sure that you walk away feeling like you are creative no matter what you're doing in your life. And then we're going to conclude. I'm going to share with you some poems that some people wrote around this theme of we are all creatives. And I know you're going to enjoy the heck out of those poems. I know I did. The first thing that I want to talk about is vulnerability and creativity and their relationship with one another. Oftentimes when I say to a room or to a group of people, we're about to create something, or we're about to write a poem, or we're going to draw a picture, usually the response that I'm met with the most often is some sort of resistance or minimizing of the person's creativity. Usually it sounds something like this. Oh, no. I'm not an artist. I'm not a creative. Oh, no. I don't do these kind of things. And if it doesn't happen before the person starts creating, it almost surely will happen before they share what they created. Let's say they drew a picture. The person will preface by saying, I'm not an artist, or I mean, yours is way better than mine, but here's mine. Or if it's a poem, I probably didn't do this right, or this isn't my best work, and that disclaimer. So we have in workshops that I am facilitating, in the live and online expression session and writing workshops, a no disclaimer rule. Oftentimes, we give disclaimers because what we're hoping is that we can lower people's expectations, we can lower their standards, we can lower the value they have for us so low that when we share what we think is garbage, they'll think we're okay because we had lowered the bar so much. And the thing that I want to encourage, first off, is a no disclaimers rule when it comes to your creativity. The thing is that something within you connected to something greater than yourself, and through that connection, you created something that didn't exist before this moment. When you take your hand and you touch a pen and you put that pen to pad, or you take your fingers and you type something out, or you take a brush and you paint something, or you use your words and you speak something, it did not exist before this very second. Even if you're saying a quote, even if you're reading a book that was written, but when you say it, it didn't exist in that way. And I work with a lot of facilitation teams, and I always say we need diverse facilitators, people who are very quiet, people who are very loud, people who are very energetic, and people who are very low energy, people who are introverts, people who are extroverts, people who speak lots of different languages. All these different things matter, because there are some people where I will say a sentence and there will be people in the room for many different reasons will never be able to hear that sentence from me. No matter how much I try, no matter how many tools I whip out, they might be like, this Tom Merle with his energy, this Tom Merle with his really nice hair, this Tom Merle with his, really amazing wife, Adora, whatever it might be, they're just not going to be able to hear it. Now, somebody else might say it, and they might be really quiet and really gentle. And they might feel like, I could never be somebody that could do what Tom does because he's got all this energy. And then you say it in your special way. And someone's like, finally, someone's speaking my language. It's the exact same thing with creativity. That when you express something in your own unique way, even if you think inside it's garbage, you're creating it in a way that someone on this earth needed that key that you just created to unlock something within them that no one else could have done except for you. You're saying you're a liar, Tom. That's not true. I say you wouldn't have created it. You wouldn't have been able to tap into something greater than yourself had you not been a piece in that puzzle that we are all creating as a community. Building this picture, this beautiful opportunity for all of us to reach our highest potential, and community is us all working on that together. And the way we do that is through creativity. Now let's talk for a minute about where does that initial disclaimer come from? Where does that initial feeling of, oh, I don't do this. Oh, this isn't me. Where does that come from? It comes from shame. Now, when we start to talk about shame and vulnerability, if you don't already know, we're talking about Brene Brown's research. Brene Brown is the pioneer in this. And such an awesome example. If you just study Brene Brown's story, where it's like, I'm going to become a researcher. I'm going to become a PhD. How many people think I'm going to become a researcher in a university so that I can have one of the top 5 TEDx in the world and become super famous? Talking about shame, yay! But she followed her creativity and truth. So one of the studies that she was able to share with us through her powerful work is that they interviewed somewhere around 13,000 people and asked them questions on shame and vulnerability. Now, out of those 13,000 people, Brené Brown found that 85% of those 13,000 people said that sometime in their childhood, they experienced a moment of shame in a classroom that changed the way they viewed themselves, and they viewed themselves as learners for the rest of their life. That's to say that they were able to trace back that, there was this moment in a classroom where I was shamed, and it changed the way I viewed myself, and it changed the way I viewed my learning experience for the rest of my life. Now, of those 85%, 50% of those people said that that moment happened during a moment of creativity. So that's to say that for more than half of us, 85% of us, and then of those 85%, half, so let's just say most of us, it's safe to say, especially from my research, not data, but in terms of research from my hands-on experience of almost everybody saying, oh, not me, Tom, not me. What we find is that all of us, when we were young, when we were expressing ourselves, when we were being creative, somebody said something, usually an adult, that let us know that no, that isn't creativity, or no, that's not art, or no, that's not good enough, or no, that's not right, or no, you should let someone else do that, or no, what you just said, no thanks. And it happens in little and big ways over and over and over and over and over again, to where that voice that was not our own was put in our head, and that voice that was not our own becomes our own, or it tricks us into thinking it is our own. And so you go to create and you hear that voice. You're not that good. This sucks. Let someone else do it. And we believe that voice. And so sometimes before we even let that inspiration that was in our heart have life, we squash it. Or maybe we are able to overcome that fear and we do create. And then we go to share it with the world and we hear that voice that was put in us say, you're not good enough. And we sometimes believe it. And so we hide our art and never allow it to have its full potential of who it was meant to impact. Or when we do share it, we try to dim our own light and shrink ourselves by saying, that voice in my head, I'm going to say it before you can. This is not that good. And so why do I'll share this? I share this to say that there was a process, we call it socialization, that got us to this point of dimming our own creative light, or no longer viewing ourselves as creatives, or no longer viewing what we are doing as creativity. And that we minimize our own brilliance, our own creative power, that right there was a process, an intentional and unintentional series of events where we were socialized into believing that. And so what I want you to remember is that voice inside your head is not your own. It was implanted within you. And so when you hear that, start to say, nope, it's not my voice. My voice was what gave me the inspiration to create this to begin with, which leads me to the next thing I want to talk about, which is that creativity has many different faces. You may remember in, let's see what year that was, 2015, final answer. I started my year of expression. Dun, 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 dun. It's what started this whole journey. So if you are like, who created this monster, Tom Earl? Blame the year of expression. I realized that I was hiding my gifts. I was shrinking myself. And so the year of expression was my self-accountability tool that I would express this year. And what I realized in that year is that expression and creativity is so grossly stereotyped. We often think of the creatives are people who create beautiful paintings or beautiful this, or they're professionals, they're this, they're that. But we most often generalize it into the area of the creative arts, the visual arts, or music, those kind of things. But for me, one of my favorite ways to express my creativity is in showing people the love that I have for them. I love, for example, thinking of little surprises, little ways that when Adora comes home, I can have something for her that she'll see and feel very loved. Or guests on the Celebration Academy. I love writing handwritten cards for them and mailing it to them, sharing how I appreciate and how I value them. I love setting up, fun days with friends where there's little things that I know that they really appreciate. Like they like finding new ramen spots or they like new hikes. And so let's hang out. What are we doing? You'll find out. And then we go and do all these things. They're like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. I didn't even know this existed. That to me is creativity. It's a way of giving life to an emotion, to an experience, and inviting someone to have the opportunity to be a part of it. I just love that. That's one of my favorite ways to be creative. Another way that I like to be creative is in my Excel or Google Sheets. How there's all this data in front of me. And in creative ways, I organize it into a way that can be presented to a team. And then I like to be creative in how I analyze that data and the conclusions that I'm able to reach. Another awesome way that I see creativity is my dad. My dad's a landscape architect. And I love seeing how he can take this backyard that's just dirt everywhere, just dirt. And he can see and be like, I know a waterfall should go there, and these plants should go here, and these flowers. And it might be this small backyard that just looked like nothing. And when it's all done, you go there and it's an experience. You walk in, it's like, oh my gosh, what did I just enter? And so I know you have areas like that in your life. When I go into spin class, I love the creativity of the spin instructor to know what song to play right now, what to say to the room, all of that stuff. People who play video games, the way you're going to express that character, what the character in the video game is going to do. I know I'm not doing a good job with video games, but what I'm trying to do is get you to realize that you are creative in so many different areas of your life. Some of the most popular episodes we've had is when I have interviewed social workers. And you think of the creativity it takes for a social worker or for a social justice worker or for an activist to see these complex systemic problems that people in our community that we care about face, and to have the creativity to see solutions and to see opportunities, how they can, using very little resources, empower people in their lives. So whatever it is that you are doing in your life, in your profession, in your friendships, in your relationships, you are using creativity every single day. Even how you design your day. You wake up. What time do you wake up? What do you do when you wake up? What kind of shampoos do you use to shower? What kind of car do you drive? What kind of bus do you take? What do you listen to while you're going throughout your day? Right now, are you working and listening to me? Or when you work, do you listen to a playlist? All of those things, are you expressing your creativity? And so what I want you to do is to start acknowledging those moments and start saying to yourself, yeah, time was right. That was creativity. Maybe you get like this really big cowbell. I don't know if you've ever been to a hockey game in Wisconsin. You're a very rare person if you have. But when we score goals, everybody rings a cowbell. So maybe when you do something creative, it's hilarious. I'm having so much fun right now. Next time you're at work or you're in a library and you do something creative, You take out that cowbell, ring it, creative, I'm creative. Oh my God, that'd be amazing. I'm having too much fun, which there's nothing wrong with, but you're not here just to hear me giggle. A creativity cowbell. First person who does that, I'm going to give you a big hug. That's amazing. So what I want you to think of when we talk creativity is I want you to explore this mindset of process over product. You may have heard me talk about this before, but basically product is the end result. So if I was to paint a picture, product is the picture. If I was to write a song, the product is the song. That is the product. Product-oriented creativity is where the whole entire time my focus is on the outcome, is on that creative end result that I'm creating. Sometimes what happens is when I am attached to that end result, I am then implanting within that all the expectations and pressure I have for how the art or how the end result is going to be performed, how it's going to be received, the performance measurements, the data, the likes, the shares, all of that pressure that it's got to be viral. That kind of pressure can drive you insane. And at the same time, that kind of pressure can once again really bring up those shame voices, can really bring up that area where you are bringing back the disclaimer. Because before you even start creating, if you're creating with the result, hoping that this finally proves that you are amazing, or that this finally sells for the price, or gets the amount of shares or likes or follows that you need it to get, that just can continue to enhance that shame voice that we are working to move past. Whereas process-oriented art has a focus where the process itself is the entire goal. Have you ever done something where you got so lost in it that time was erased? Where even your breathing, if you notice, just became very calm and relaxed. And you looked up, and it's almost like you take a breath. Whew, wow. Where did the time go? Oh my goodness. That right there is process-oriented, whatever it is that you are doing, because the reward of process over product is that immersion, is that losing yourself in the experience, is that high that comes with thought just ceasing because you are in the zone. That is process-oriented art. It is what I teach. It's the experiences that I create. And so if you're going to sit down and do something creative, what I want you to do is have the mindset of whatever I create, I'm going to throw away. Whatever I create, I'm going to instantly burn, like those Tibetan mandalas that they create with sand, where as soon as they make it, they then wipe it clean. Even after those hours of detailed work, I want you to think that be detached from the end result, and you are creating because it feels good to create. And when you're creating, if you make a mistake, there are no mistakes in process-oriented art. How can you incorporate what you're interpreting as a mistake into something wonderful? For example, the other day, I was creating something and I was drawing a slip and slide. The assignment was, if you were to draw your life as water, what would you do? And so, of course, I drew a slip and slide. And I didn't like the way the slip and slide worked, so I was going to crumple up my piece of paper. But instead I said, ooh, that was kind of fun. But instead I said, ooh, look at the poetry coming through. Hey, hey, hey. Okay, having too much fun here, folks. Having too much fun. Let's get back. This is a serious podcast. It's a serious show here. Okay, Tom? You need to get serious. There's real people, there's real professionals listening. Okay? Okay, back in the game. So I, of course, said, well, if I was to draw my life as water, it'd be a slip and slide. Didn't like how it looked. So instead of crumpling it up, I said, no, Tom, process over product. So I was like, well, what can I do with this slip and slide? And so I started to draw like squigglies on it. I'm like, help, squigglies, save me. Next thing I knew, I'm like, oh my God, the squigglies now look like a tree. Oh my God, my life as water is a tree because I am deeply rooted and I'm always planting seeds and the fruit that comes out of the tree. And like right now, my life as water is the rain nourishing the tree. Oh my gosh. It was so cool. It's this really awesome aha moment, which I would not have arrived at had I been product oriented. But I said, no, the slip and slide looks bad. I gotta start over and draw the perfect slip and slide. Instead, I was like, how can I incorporate what I think is a mistake into the experience? And instead created this beautiful tree. And so as you are creating, I want you to get high on the process. And I want you to know that there are no mistakes in process-oriented art. And so when we're writing, I always tell people no erasers, no crossing out. You just write and you express and you express, and there's this momentum that comes. And if you're in a high stakes profession or you feel there's a lot of high stakes in your relationships, and maybe what you're doing has a necessity for you to be product oriented, I completely understand. What I want to encourage you to do is to start to find a half hour each week, 15 minutes each week, an hour each week. Carve out whatever you can to do something process oriented. And that can look like you saying, from noon to 1 o'clock on Sunday, I'm going to give this crazy idea Tom said a shot. I'm going to give this process-oriented thing a shot. And so what you do, breathe in deeply. One more time, breathe in deeply. Sit still for a moment and ask yourself, what am I curious about? And whatever comes up, without judging it, for that next hour, you explore. That is process-oriented living. And living is creativity. So it doesn't have to be that you sit down and you draw and you do all these things, which though I think is awesome, I want to encourage you to do. But really aligning with the idea that life is creativity, and process-oriented creativity in life is really just connecting with your intuition and trusting that whatever energy, if you believe in God, whatever brought you to this moment, it will not let you down. That you are a part of something greater than yourself. And the way you align with that, and the way you express that, and you communicate that higher power communicating through you, is through your creativity. And you can't get it wrong. You can't. There's no way you can get it wrong. And so trusting without disclaimers that energy always speaking through you as creativity, and knowing that it's the process, it's getting lost in that experience that is the ultimate reward. So my friends, I hope that this has given you confidence in the undeniable fact that you are a creative. We are all creatives. And I appreciate the creativity that you share each and every day, that from the unique life experiences that you have gone through and the wonderful gifts that you have cultivated and developed, the way you infuse those and give life to something that wasn't there before, that benefits all of us. Oh my gosh, I am just giddy with happiness and gratitude for you. And even if you think that nobody ever sees my creativity, or what I do is so private, it's in the privacy of my home, nobody ever knows, that yes, we do. Because when you create, when you do that, there's something that happens in the air, something that happens within you, that even if I never see the creative thing you do, when I interact with you, on some level, I can experience it, I can feel it. And it happens with all the people you interact with. Whew, this was really fun. This was fun recording this episode. This was fun sharing this with you, because this is something really important to me, and you are amazing. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to step aside for a minute, and I want you to hear some of the poems. So the people who came together, they didn't know what the prompt was. Like I said, I always surprise people like, hey, you're going to write a poem. And so these were a lot of people who didn't know that was what was about to happen, and they went on that journey anyways. And without disclaimers, here's what they shared in a second. Here we go. What about, has anybody seen the new Avengers that came out earlier this year?
Yeah.
Okay, Dennis, you're gonna go first.
Okay.
That is your reward.
All right. So no disclaimers, right?
No disclaimers. We go right in because it's awesome. It's here for a reason.
There's something brewing inside of me that is hard to put my finger on. I have had a lot more thoughts about death lately, and I'm not really sure why, but they are not always terror-inducing. In fact, they have become more inquisitive. Like, I wonder what a person goes through. I wonder if what a person goes through on the outside is as bad as it looks. Maybe the insides are learning a new level of peace without a spirit. I hope that I'm not becoming jaded because I do fear these thoughts of dying, but more so the pain and uncertainty of how. Death is very creative. Seems like it's always coming with a new way to try and kill us and then blame us for it. And how much is truly our fault? I have to ask how many dangerous or lethal mistakes were born from the parents of trauma and a young, malleable mind. I struggle with the fact that a 30-year-old person may never have had a chance to understand what the right way is. How can you believe in something that you have never seen or experienced? I hate that I can't seem to experience life in a way that I did before I knew what everybody hid. Always knew it in myself. I'm just disappointed to find it living in everybody else. I needed people to be better than me. And maybe that's it. It was a cop-out, a way to say you don't have to be the decision maker of your own life. How ironic, right? A person who lusts for freedom but needs somebody else to take him there. This is how a victim of a cult is born. I am a creative, so even the dark sides matter. I'm just tired of hearing it from everybody else. Want to bring something new into the world that is authentic and heartfelt, but my heart's felt too much to not have thorns. Beautiful to look at and listen to, but almost impossible to embrace. I stare in the faces of young people and try to teach them that the world that is determined to victimize them is exactly the place where they will learn how not to become one. Fly heavy over the sadness and oppression that weighs on every soul. Genderless, raceless, sexless souls who want to do so much more than fight to exist. We live to learn how to let go of life, even if death has a purpose, even death has an energy. A corpse rots. An empty heart still feeds something even if it isn't love. Death isn't the end, but it is only as far as we can see. So I preach what I see, and I hope I don't hurt anybody in the process. I question my leadership abilities because I can't seem to make hard decisions to remove somebody, and then that's kind of where I stop.
Yes! Can we show some love? Woo! Can we get 2 affirmations in the building, please? Go for it, Adora.
Wow. I think from the moment you started talking about death and its creativity and how just the way you've been seeing it and understanding it and how it tricks us to think it's our fault, and then just taking it wherever you took it and then coming back to it, it was just, yeah. I love when people's words just take me somewhere else in my mind and my thinking, and this will be something I'm just pondering on for a while. I can already feel it. Thank you.
Yes,
thank you for listening.
Agreed.
Yeah, I absolutely love your poetry. It's, to me, it feels, when I hear you speak, or when I hear the words that you're saying, it feels like you're fishing, meaning the way that you set up your poem, right, with everything that you have, right, your feelings right now, and then you reel it out, or you cast it out, and then you connect it to other living beings, other experiences, other expressions, emotions, and then it's like you and then when you catch that, right, imagine if it's the fish, you reel that back in, and then you take that with you, and then you just go back again. And so I love it. Absolutely, I love it so much. It's like fishing.
Yes. Well said.
Honored.
And it really did feel like an unraveling. Like you had like this something within you that really did need to get out. And I felt like almost like when you massage a tense muscle, like I could feel it, like, oh, and then there's this, and then gosh, and now that I'm relaxed, and now that you got me talking about it, you know what I mean?
Yeah, literally how it went.
Can we step it up one more time for Dennis, please?
Woo!
Yeah, for that, man. Thank you.
Boom. Lady K, would you like to go next?
Yeah, it ain't all that, but
Oh, we don't do disclaimers. We're gonna do that again. Lady K, would you like to go next?
Yeah, I'll go next.
Perfect.
Okay.
Did it.
All right. Can you guys hear me okay?
We hear you great.
All right. I want to love and be loved, for the ink flowing beneath my veins like blood. like water, necessary and nourishing for my heart and health. I want my skills to be my wealth I build my empire with. I don't want my mind to be eroded by time, color, and copper by the rust, stressed, unscrubbed in. That's it.
Yes. We step it up for Lady K, please. Can we get 2 affirmations in the building, please?
That was amazing. And since it was so short, I feel like I want to hear it again. Is that okay?
Let's do that.
Yeah.
Rewind.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, I'll slow it down too. I want to love and be loved, for the ink flowing beneath my veins, like blood, like water, necessary and nourishing for my heart and health. I want my skills to be my wealth I build an empire with. And I don't want my mind to be eroded by time, color, and copper by the rest, stressed, unscrubbed in.
Are you lying to us? Was that really a free write? Did you have that? Did you pull that up somewhere?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was.
Go
Oh,
ahead.
please go ahead, Dennis. No, please.
That I think that was really, like, I would agree with Tom. That sounds like something that somebody worked on and edited, and, like, you know what I mean, because it just flows. Like, the fact that it flows, and then you say the word eroded in the poem, and it's like, I don't know, man. It's very strong. It's like an affirmation, and it's good that it's short because it's like an affirmation people could say to themselves. You could say to yourself. You know what I mean? I think it's really well done.
Agreed.
It's so dense. It's like there's so much to unpack in such a few lines that you could just use it to do and do and do and do. And that's what I loved about it, the intensity. I especially loved the idea of your skills being the thing that you build your empire on. And then just the words and the love and everything to do with that idea, just super concentrated so that you could, add water to it and it would last you for days and days and days.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Of course. I don't, the disclaimer was totally not needed. It was absolutely amazing. And, it's a gift that you can just be like, hey, something that didn't exist, let me give it life. You know what I mean? And just like God would never disrespect God's creation, the little way that we're able to create, we don't want to disrespect either. And disclaimers disrespect our creativity. And oftentimes we disclaim because we want to lower people's expectations. But even if all 3 of us didn't like it, we were like, that was terrible. Our liking it or disliking it has nothing to do with you or your poem, and everything to do with where we're at in this current moment. And you're never going to be able to control people's perspectives. So all we can do is just find that center and that gratitude that God used us as a channel to create. You know what I'm saying? And so when you are a vessel like that, you just got to love it and you just got to share it. So that's just my little encouragement when you feel that fear and you want to kind of manage it through the disclaimer, to just remember this conversation, that instead just go for it. Just read it without it. And it's beautiful. It was amazing.
Thanks.
Of course. Can we step it up for Lady K? Thank you so much for sharing that with us. A little taste of what's to come when your feature is coming up here in the next couple of minutes. Adora Wandu, Earl, would you like to share yours?
Sure. My writing has been affirmed from such an early age. I used to love the click, crack, clip, pitty, clippity, clop of my dad's secretary in our home office as she typed away. I must have been about 3 years old when I managed to slide in some paper into that typewriter and recreated the crunchy, juicy rhythms as best as I could. Then, incredibly proud of myself, but fully aware of my illiteracy, I took the piece of paper to my mother and presented it to her. She was with a friend or a group, but I know I was definitely interrupting, but I can't remember who was there. But I wanted to share my excitement. She took it and seemed delighted and told me I'd written something wonderful, beautiful, and clever. I remember being astonished and joyful and at how I'd created this thing that was so marvelous without even knowing how. By the time I did really learn to read and write and was creating imaginative tales at the age of 6 or 7, my teachers would tell me how they enjoyed my stories. But they all seemed to end so suddenly. Like I didn't really have a plan for them to end, and I needed to start thinking about that as I created. Having those wise editors so early made it something I had corrected by the age of 10. And so, after that, I've always been affirmed for my writing. It's now at the point I don't need the affirmation to believe that my written word is valid. However, my vulnerability comes when I create outside of writing or begin a different form of writing. Even then, as long as it's writing, I know it is structure that I need to overcome and not content. My self-belief in the words themselves won't ever waver. But when it comes to other creativity, things like drawing, I didn't ever get the same level of affirmation when I was young. My drawing and my painting were always decent, but nowhere near the level of my writing. And maybe that's why I do it less, though it speaks to my soul as well.
Yeah.
Can we please snap it up for Adora? Can we get 2 affirmations, please?
I mean, there was just so many little Easter eggs, is that what you say? Little Easter eggs like within what you just said, that it just brought me back to my own childhood and just my own experience with my mom. And and then what you said about overcoming structure, not content, like that. Oh my gosh, that is something I relate to so much. And so I don't know, like hearing you speak and hearing the vulnerability coming through your own words, like it really does like serve as a comfort, as a truth to me. So thank you.
Yes, well said.
I loved how this was a story written about how you like grew into a writer. Like that in itself is interesting, right? Like, because you're talking about how you got better at editing, and like a specific thing about your writing was not having an ending, and you had to think of that, and then you had this felt like a full complete narrative, you know what I mean, with an ending. So it's like, after hearing that and then finishing the poem, the first thing I think about is like, man, she must have been thinking about the ending while she was writing, like in the freewrite. You know what I mean? And so like, and just and I mean, outside of that, like the narrative was really good. The detail of the typewriter literally made my mouth water, literally. But well done. I liked it.
That's what's up. I would say, my love, that you should turn that into like a 10-minute, 15-minute talk. That whether you're going to do a TED talk or whatever, but that's a talk. So that would be the intro, that, oh, I was so good. And then you might have a little pause, and talk about then what is the structure for why people feel comfortable or not feel comfortable, or how you overcame it. I mean, it's a really good story to use as an example to go into some sort of learning experience. So that would be my suggestion, because I know you want to do more speeches, that you turn that into a speech.
Okay.
Can we step it up for Adora?
Woo-hoo.
I like how we're all affirming. We're just like, screw it. Screw the 2-person rule. We're all going to give affirmations for each person. That's the best.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to read you mine, and then we are going to go into Lady K's.
Whoop, whoop, whoop.
Okay. Breathe in deeply, you are loved. Breathe in fully, you are loved. Exhale your worries, you are loved. Exhale the doubts, you are loved. You are loved, you are loved, you are loved, you are loved. Remember, you are loved, just as you are. Your creativity is a gift. It does not prove your worthiness. Your creativity is a blessing. It is not here to validate or demonstrate that you are deserving. Your creativity brings life to all. It is not a prop to fill a hole within you, because you are already complete. As we walk this deep journey of endless moments, remember that you are expanding, and that stretch continues even after your last breath. Energy waves born into this moment will reverberate throughout space and time with the energy you are connecting and implementing and planting into this very second. There is a pause between the thought, idea, and inspiration and pen and paper that expands beyond the infinite. There is nothing you do that is finite. It lives on. You are at your best when you remember you are loved. So breathe deeply. You are loved. Breathe fully. You are loved. Your creativity is a blessing. Your creativity is a gift. Nurture, love, respect it. Give your creativity time and nourishment and energy and space and cuddles. Remember, as you take this next breath, you are loved fully. So exhale the worry, exhale the doubt, breathe in a breath of love, and always remember you are a creative. Yeah. Who'd like to start the affirmation train? Go for it.
My goodness, my love, I always feel like when you're writing these things, I need to leave my own stories and go and check that you are writing them afresh and it's not just something you prepared earlier. But I'm going to find a way to do that, maybe by preparing my own thing earlier so I can spy on you. But the main thing is just this thought of linking creativity and love and the deep connection between them, and how you got me thinking about that, and how Lady K was also bringing up creativity and love. But Dennis took it somewhere else with death and how they're all inextricably linked. And then just the idea of being loved. And so being loved by people, is that us asking for affirmation? Or is it a higher love, a love of being loved by God, and just all of that? Just, I love, like I said earlier, things that just make me think and wonder and ask, and is it me saying creativity is to do with God? And then, yeah, anything that has cuddles in it is a great poem.
Thank you, my love.
It felt just amazing and soothing. I was actually following your words as you were saying exhale and inhale. I was doing that as well. It felt like something that you would just something like calming that you would say or do before going to bed, or just like waking up in the morning to start your day, or to have a good night's sleep. It's just like that level of just comfort and safety that I just got from your piece. It was just it's amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think I like that. You had a line in there that really hit me when you were like, the creativity is not meant to be utilized to fill. You didn't say it like this, but fill a hole because you're already complete.
Yes.
That one was pretty. That hit me pretty good, and just the idea of that. I feel like I want that. This is a real request, by the way. I feel like I would want that printed out so I could like have it and look at it on a regular basis, put it on a mirror or something. You know what I mean?
I appreciate that.
That's really good.
Thank you. Well, can we step it up one more time for Tom? Yeah. And let's keep that step going for all of the free writes. That was so magical. Anything that's on anybody's heart that you want to speak into the space about our free write experience?
Thank y'all for listening, man. Sometimes I just need to just get a lot of stuff out, man. And you know what I mean? I guess part of me needs other people to hear it for some reason. So I appreciate y'all giving me this opportunity and space.
Of course. Same here. Wonderful. Well, I'm feeling a nice little writer's high, so I appreciate it as well. Y'all, it's so nice how just from all around the world we can just come together and create like this. So I appreciate you all.
Right.
Tom Earl back here again. I hope you enjoyed those wonderful poems that people created. And if you would like to jump in with us and you want to have an intentional community and an intentional experience in a brave space where you can practice some of these things that we just talked about, whether you identify as a creative or not, but remember, we are all creatives. Whether you think of yourself as a poet or a writer or not, I want to invite you to be a part of our next live and online expression session, which is what you just heard. That's where those poems came from. It's a free online writing workshop that I host every single month. We just celebrated our 3-year anniversary. All of the details are in the show notes below, or you can head to tommerl.com/events for how you can join us for free from anywhere in the world and create with us. This has been such a fun experience and opportunity to share with you. If you enjoyed it, let me know at Tom Earl Artist or tom@tomearl.com. My friends, I want to invite you to, throughout your day today, throughout this week, ring that cowbell and recognize all of the ways that you are creative, because we are all creatives, and that includes you. My friends, I love you so much. And as always, I'm wishing you peace and blessings. Thank you. One more thing. I'd love to continue the conversation. Feel free to join me at tomearl.com/join. Subscribe below, or let's connect on social media. Tom Earl Artist. Thanks again for watching.